What's up, everybody? It's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool video with a new Planet Coaster series. A very exciting one of that. This is going to be a new series, and this is going to be my recreation series in Planet Coaster. So in my recreation series, I'm going to try and recreate coasters from everywhere, and by the title you should know what this one is. This is going to be my recreation of Valravn at Cedar Point, their new dive coaster that they got this year in 2016. So by no means am I great at recreating coasters. In fact, I've never really actually done it before. This is actually my first recreation attempt in Planet Coaster. And so if it's a little rough or inaccurate in certain spots, just to let you know, I am an amateur at this. I was looking at the design, pretty much the layout design, a picture of it the entire time. As for height, I am literally just throwing it in the dark, or it's just in the dark right now because I don't actually know the you can't see the height markers on the track. Otherwise, I would use those as my guide. Now, this entire episode is basically just going to be based on the layout of the ride. So that's all this episode's going to be, is just getting the layout done and the coaster itself done. And I'm not sure how many episodes this will take. Probably no more than 3 episodes. This first episode's the layout. The next episode is probably going to be like the station and stuff, and maybe some more scenery items and stuff. I'm not sure if I'm going to do much of a pathway at the bottom. I mainly just want to get the ride itself, the most important. I want to try and get it as most realistic as I can with the realism and stuff like that, but for the most part, this is literally my first shot at a recreation, pretty much. And I have to say, I thought it turned out pretty decent. There's a couple parts that turned out a little rough. I'm still trying to get the Immelman inversions down, just in general. So, and as you can see throughout the video, I do make a lot of mistakes and end up deleting and trying to do it. And I'll tell you what, connecting that last part with the track, or the brake run, was probably the biggest challenge, because I just couldn't get it to line up correctly, which means I wasn't 100% perfect with my placement on certain elements and stuff, which is alright. Now, it runs, for the most part, it runs through the ride pretty smoothly, and again, I don't know exactly if the scaling's right, and that's one thing I really hope that Planet Coaster adds, is height markers on the tracks, so we can figure out how tall these things are, and just statistics in general and stuff, so we can really figure out how big our rides are. And eyeballing it, I never like eyeballing. I like to have the accurate stats on my rides. So, but anyways, with the color scheme, I wanted to have the blue lift hill, or the blue, the blue catwalk that it has. I guess you would call it blue. I actually might end up using a darker orange than this afterwards, but it meant I had to have the cross ties blue as well, which is inaccurate. So hopefully, I hope they have a little bit more advanced coloring system for the track later on, so to where you can really get into more than just stuff like the cross ties, the color of the catwalk, and stuff like that. And again, I really want to see for us to be able to put the catwalk wherever we want on the track, kind of like No Limits 2 in a way. That way we can really have the customization. Like, I want to add it to the brake runs and stuff, and I left the top parts as lift hills the entire way, because I want to keep that lift hill effect, or look to it. And this is the actually the first brake run that we run into, or the brake run that we run into that goes under the first drop part. And Again, I've never been to Cedar Point. I've never seen this coaster in person, so if it is a little inaccurate, I do apologize. This is just me trying to get it as best as I can based off of one picture, actually, and a couple of videos actually that I looked at to get some of the parts down. I don't think I had the angle of the lift hill, not the steepness angle, but the angle of which it goes up. I don't know, you probably had no clue what I'm talking about, but I thought this part turned out pretty decent this was a very great start, I thought, for the coaster itself, and it was turning out to be pretty awesome, and I was actually pretty impressed of how well this recreation turned out. The ending part is towards the end of the ride does get a little bit inaccurate, and I will admit that. I might try to actually change it later on, and I couldn't actually remember, or actually, to my knowledge, I had no clue if this was a vertical drop after this brake run or not. And then there's the dive loop here, which took me forever to actually get right because I've never actually built one of these before within the game. So I thought I picked Valravn as my first recreation coaster. I thought it'd be the easiest. It had a very simple layout, I thought, and it's not a ridiculously long layout. Now, the next recreation I'm thinking about doing is possibly one like Gatekeeper. It might not be too hard. I feel like I could create those towers, though, as well, which would be kind of a neat thing as well. But let me know in the comments. I want to know in the comments of these videos of what recreations you guys want to see next. I have a couple in mind, and I want to stick to the actual coaster types that we have in-game. So make sure it's a dive coaster, or a B&M floorless or something like that, or a aero coaster or something like that. Make sure whatever, I don't want to do any like RMCs until we get the RMC track, or Woodies until we get those track types. I just find it kind of funny and ridiculous. I'm just gonna wait for those. I don't want to go out and all efforts out to have a steel track and just have wooden supports to pull it off as a wooden coaster. I just don't agree with that. I'm just like, we'll just wait till the next alpha phase or 2 alpha phases, whenever it comes in, and I think that will be it. So since we have the dive coaster, I thought I'd go ahead and do the dive coaster, or I'd do a dive coaster in Valravn. And since we have the wing coaster, let me guys know if you want me to do a recreation of Gatekeeper. That could be a possibility for the next one. I was also thinking there might be a couple others that I could be able to do. Mostly B&Ms. I could try and recreate Formula Rossa, since they do have that track type as well, from Abu Dhabi, the fastest coaster in the world currently. Now this last inversion, which is kind of, I believe it's a corkscrew kind of, did not turn out the greatest. It didn't turn out the most, it was probably the most inaccurate part of the ride, besides the fact of the last part, with the getting the last hill to brake run didn't match up, and you see a lot of trial and error here on this part of the ride. You see me delete parts and try and get it change the turn and stuff like that, but at the end of this, I was very surprised of how smooth this coaster turned out. I actually rode it, or did the POV of it, and I was very surprised of how smooth it was. And it's probably the smoothest ride I've ever actually made, because it's probably because it's a actual real design, off of a real design. I mean, that last inversion isn't the most accurate, but it actually ended up being, I thought, pretty close. Now, speed-wise for the ride itself, I felt was a little inaccurate. I feel like it's a little bit faster in real life, but it still had pretty good speed, and so I decided to kind of change the brake run, and this is the main problem I had right here, was getting the angle, because the angle was way off from this part here, so I had to try and redirect it, and in the end I actually go off of this and get to the I tried to make it easier on myself and go from front to back and back to front, and this hill was just looking way too bad. and too straight right there, and I did not like it at all. And did I actually leave that the way it is? I think I actually, yeah, no, I rebuilt it right here. I made this part a little shorter. That's right. And this part still is a little bit sketchy and not the most accurate, this ending, but I was just trying to get it back to being connected with the track. So I built that all the way, built that whole hill right there, and decided to align this turn to match up with that hill, and it was just so further apart than I expected. I actually think the dive loop turns just slightly a little bit more to the other direction, and maybe that's the mistake I made. But it is pretty accurate. It's not too far off, but again, it was still a lot smoother than I thought it was going to turn out, and I was very impressed by that. As for scaling wise, I hope the scaling on the ride turned out decent, pretty accurate. I'm not entirely sure. I thought the scaling on it was pretty accurate, but I'll let you guys decide that. And if you have any criticism, please let me know. And this is the POV, and I'm going to do a cinematic video with the regular POV, so this is literally just me, or for right now, just the time lapse, and just a little bit of a teaser. But these series probably won't last long because I'm recreating one ride and not an entire park, so this probably will only have like 3 episodes and a cinematic video. No, probably no more than 3. I could possibly get it done in the next episode, but we'll just figure it out. But by no means, because I'm starting a new series, doesn't mean I'm gonna finish my, my actual pirate park and stuff that I've been working on. It doesn't mean I've stopped working on that. This is literally just a new series that I thought would be interesting. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me guys know what you think in the comments. Have a great day and an even cooler tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.